Decoding divine language. There are times when heaven speaks, but not in words. It speaks in symbols, impressions, and whispers. And until a man learns the language of God, he can pray endlessly and still miss the answer standing right before him. Elder Akume was known in his city as a man who helped others rise. He built homes for widows, paid school fees for orphans, and repaired broken wells so villagers could drink again. He was loved. He was respected. If goodness could buy immunity from pain, Elder Akume's family should have been untouchable. But one night, trouble knocked. His only son, bright, handsome, and full of promise, fell mysteriously ill. At first, they thought it was malaria, then typhoid, then something unknown. The doctors shook their heads. Tests were clean. No bacteria, no infection. Yet the boy's body was shutting down slowly, like a candle losing its flame. Elder Akume called for prayers. The prayer warriors came. They filled the hospital corridors with noise and declarations, quoting scriptures like machine guns of faith. They shouted, they fasted, they marched. But heaven remained silent. The silence stretched like a horizon that refused to break. Days turned into weeks. The man who once gave hope to others now sat helpless beside his dying child. Then one evening, something ordinary, yet divine, happened. As he drove out of his compound toward the hospital, a little girl stood at the gate, barefoot and holding a small tray of salt. Her voice was soft but steady. "Papa, please buy some salt." He smiled weakly. "My daughter, I'm not a woman to be buying salt." The girl smiled back, eyes bright with innocence. "Then buy it from Mama." He laughed softly, shaking his head. "My wife already bought salt in plenty." He reached into his pocket, gave her some money out of kindness, and drove away. It should have ended there, but heaven was not done speaking. The next evening, as he was leaving for the hospital again, she was there, same spot, same tray, same sweet voice. "Thanks for yesterday, Papa." Then she turned, calling for would-be buyers who never came. For several evenings, she appeared at the same place, unmoving, unafraid, almost as though she was planted there by something greater. The estate was too exclusive for hawkers. Security guards didn't allow vendors in. Yet she was always there. By the fourth evening, something stirred inside Elder Akume. He slowed his car and watched her from a distance. Questions filled his heart. Why this girl? Why here? Why salt? He couldn't shake the feeling. It followed him like a whisper that refused to fade. That night, while praying for his dying son, he heard within him a soft voice, not from outside, but inside. "Pay attention to the salt." He froze. His mind replayed every moment, the girl, her persistence, the strange timing. Salt. He picked up his Bible, opened it randomly, and his eyes landed on 2 Kings 2:21. "And Elisha went forth unto the spring of the waters, and cast the salt in there, and said, Thus saith the Lord, I have healed these waters." Tears welled in his eyes. Could it be that heaven was speaking through a child's trade? Could the mystery of salt carry a message for his son's healing? That night, in trembling obedience, Elder Akume took a small portion of salt. He prayed over it and dissolved it in water. He remembered Elisha's words, "The Lord has healed these waters." He sprinkled it in his son's room and on his son, declaring, "Father, if this is your instruction, let life return to my son." Minutes passed, then hours. But by morning, the boy's breathing was stronger. The fever broke. By evening, he sat up for the first time in weeks, asking for food. The doctors were astonished. The same tests that once showed nothing now showed full recovery. Elder Akume wept. He realized something powerful that day. God had been speaking all along. Not in thunder, not in visions, but through a little girl selling salt. Sometimes divine messages wear human faces. They come as interruptions, coincidences, or simple impressions we brush aside. When we are too busy talking, we cannot hear heaven whisper. Elder Akume learned that prayer is not just talking to God. It is listening for his response, even when that response comes in strange languages. In conclusion, God still speaks in symbols, but only the humble and discerning will decode his language. When heaven sends a whisper, don't ignore the it. It might be your miracle in disguise.